The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, guys, this is in fact the immediate aftermath of Vaquero Navarrete versus Eduardo Sugar Nunez, and the result of the fight is a 10th round stoppage from Vaquero, and the legend of Vaquero continues. So, shout out to him. Really fun fight to watch. I really did enjoy it. Disappointed with Nunez, not for losing, but for just trying to reinvent the wheel. Like you a big cement-handed Mexican puncher, and you went in there, you started circling the ring, and you thought you were Shakur Stevenson for 3 or 4 rounds. And I didn't like that from him. I thought his corner early in the fight pretty much gave the fight away, damn near. And they put him in a position where he had to come and do some pretty irresponsible things, and he got himself back into the fight for a period of time. But at the end of the day, Vaquero Navarrete just too crafty, too big, too long, too awkward, too much volume. So let's talk about it. I know this will be a fun live for however long I'm here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That'll depend on you guys in the chat. We'll see how it goes, but I will be here nonetheless. I'm here nonetheless, right? So let me go to the comments, man. Let me go to the comments because I know we got some interesting comments here. Shout out to my meme man. Joshua, he says, I told you Navarrete was going to stop him from rounds 10 and 12. You did yesterday. I give you credit. You did say that. What's good, BT? And if you're with Angel Leo and Jin Zaki, say hi to them for me. Well, we're not with Jin no more. Jin was just with us for the fight, but I'll say hi to Angelo for you for sure. He says, man, what the fuck happened to Pierce today? I was pretty confident. Para is no slouch, and I said that in my video. I said, look, man, Para, he hasn't fought a ton of guys, but the 2 guys on his resume that he had fought, he had shown that he is a good, crafty fighter. But shit, in that Pierce fight, because I had a chance to watch it. In that Pierce fight, he showed that not only was he a good, crafty fighter, he showed that he could actually really punch, and he had this guy's Pierce's head bouncing around like a damn Pez dispenser. It was crazy because I was watching the fight on like one of those illegal streaming sites, and I thought the stream had glitched because I was like, why is Pierce's head doing that? But then I realized, it wasn't a glitch. Like he actually just got beat up like that. So it's part of the game, man. It happens. That's what I'm saying. Nunez looked starstruck for the first 5 rounds. Like it's almost like he just felt happy to be here, and he fought like it. I mean, the dude, I've watched about now 6 or 7 Sugar Nunez fights. Rikishi, Rakhimov, Pitufo Diaz, Oscar Escandón, and a couple other ones, man. And I've never seen him circle the ring like that ever. I never seen him, circle the ring like that ever. So I feel like this is a classic case of they try to reinvent the wheel, and this is not the fighter you want to reinvent the wheel with. Try to do all these new things with. Nah, man, you got to go in there and you got to really do what got you to the dance. You understand? So he says, "What up, Estee? What up, my man? True School. Shout out to you, champ. Shout out to PYP. Good to see you, champ." Yeah, he got dropped. He's been dropped by Das Marinas, Arts of Villanueva, a couple guys. It was only a matter of time before his luck ran out. So, tonight with him it ran out. He said, "I've always thought that Elijah Pierce was ass." A lot of people thought that, but what I was saying about Pierce, if he would have won, I'll apply it to Para. I was saying that if Pierce won, I don't necessarily see. I don't really see Espinoza fighting him. So Espinoza is in a position now where he has to go fight either a unification fight or drop the belt, because these mandatories that he has, there's not a lot of money in fighting this guy, and I think Zanford Promotions will either look to make a unification fight or drop the belt. We shall see, but kind of getting back to Vaquero, I've been seeing a lot of discourse about him and him being one of the great Mexican fighters, because in this era we've had Canelo Alvarez, we've had Gael Estrada, we've had we've had those guys, but Vaquero kind of gets overlooked. Like he don't get the fanfare that those guys get. So, let's talk about it. Let's kind of unpack his career a bit more now, because that's a very good win. And by the way, with that win, Vaquero is going to have to he's gonna have to fight Charlie Suarez within the next 120 days. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with that. I'm looking forward to that fight. That'll be a good rematch. And for Sugar Nunez, I think he needs to seriously take some time off, because that wasn't no regular fight he was in. That was a beating. That was the kind of fight that'll take, years off your career and potentially your life. Like, that was one of them fights. But anyway, let me see. Let me go to the screen share right quick. Where we at? Share screen. Share screen. But, I had a great night tonight. I had a lot of fun. We were at one of the sports books. I was over there with obviously Angel Leo in the camp, and we invited our good friend from Japan, Jin Sasaki, who was in town to come eat with us, and we had a great time watching the fight. So I had a blast. And in fact, I'm kind of tired. I'm a little tired from having so much fun and eating so much great food. But anyway, shout out to my guy Vaquero. Right, Vaquero did this thing. Let me see, where is it? So let's type his name in. Let's unpack where he's at, because a lot of you guys are. I see it in the chat. A lot of you guys are talking about Vaquero being pound for pound number 10. Should him being on the pound for pound list. And honestly, I don't think that's crazy, because there's guys on the pound for pound list that haven't done a fraction of what he's done in the sport. Like Oscar Collazo. I like Oscar Collazo. His ass should not be on the pound for pound list, especially not over no damn Vaquero, who's put in way more work. You know what I mean? Look, let's just look. Look. When you look at the career, you're talking about guy who's been what, WBO. Let's start from the beginning. You got a guy who was WBO, right? Super bantamweight champion, right? Then he went to feather, won the featherweight title, right? Defended that a couple times. Now he's unified as of tonight. Yeah, he's unified as he might have won. I could be wrong, but he might have won a WBA title, but I don't know, because BoxRec doesn't put the WBA titles anymore. So I don't remember if he touched a WBA title at any point, but if he did, it won't show up on here. So this guy's been like I believe at least a 4 or 5-time world champion across 3 weight classes. Apart from the one hiccup he had against Dennis Baranchik, which was at 135, 130 and below, he's just been putting belt to ass on everyone. And to me, I think this is a very good win against Sugar Nunez, because Sugar Nunez is a guy that is 28 years old. He's in his physical, mental prime, and one of the hardest punching fighters in boxing right now. You couldn't really tell it tonight because he had a retarded game plan, but again, a lot of that game plan not being effective, right? Even the stupid game plan he tried to implement. Once Vaquero saw him circling the ring, he wasn't an idiot. Like he didn't give him what he wanted. He didn't reach or sacrifice his balance. Like, nah, he was crafty. He made sure that when this guy would commit to shots and come across the line, he'd take a little half step back. He would feint his way on the inside. He would jab. He was doing some real good things in there. So I enjoyed it. It was a really good fight tonight. And I would say, look, if you're talking about Vaquero being pound for pound, I mean, look, he's been 3-division champion. His one loss came when he was trying to become a 4-division champion, and he's doing a hell of a job. I mean, he's giving you guys these great fights. Hold on, guys, I gotta look at this message. I'll read it later. My boy Sasaki messaged me. He says, okay, hold on, my bad, guys. I was reading a message. My man right here says the fight should have been stopped earlier. He took insane damage. The doctor in the corner low-key failed him. Chavez was damn near begging for them to stop. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad for Nunez. They should have waited off earlier. Credit to Nunez though. Like I've always had respect for him. I tend to gain more respect for fighters when they're in these fights where they're not having a great night at the office and it's easy to look for a way out, and they don't. Like, so he didn't have his best night at the office, and he didn't look for the first way out, and he continued trying to fight till they stopped it. He he didn't wait for his corner to stop it or the referee to stop it. He fought until like the ringside position said, "Look, we can't fight no more," and that's what it was. So he, warrior, true warrior of the sport. But he needs at least a year off, minimum. He needs at least a year off. 93 Octane says Espinoza versus Navarrete. Rafael has the IQ and the dimension to apply the pressure. Well, that's what I think he's gonna do. That's what I think he's gonna do. I think Espinoza will go to 130 and probably pursue that fight because that's a big time fight for Mexican boxing. And I just don't think that he wants certain fights at featherweight, That's a bigger money fight than any fight he can get at featherweight apart from Inoue coming up. So I don't see why it can't happen. I'd rather it not happen because I would like my good friend Angelo to fight him. But I understand business. I understand how the sport works, and yeah. But it'd be a cool fight. The fight I really want to see, really and truthfully, I want to see him fight Bernardo Lopez because I want to see Vaquero's style, like just all the unorthodox shit he does versus all the leaping that Bernardo does. My man Justin Todd says right here, he says, no game plan would change Nunez's fate, its levels, but respect for Nunez letting his balls hang. Nah, man. When you're the younger fighter and you haven't been in as many wars, you don't give the opposing fighter, who's arguably the best volume puncher in the sport, 4 rounds of confidence to work with. You don't do that. So I disagree. He didn't give himself the best chance to win tonight, and that's what boxing and life is about. You got to give yourself the best chance to win. Hagler says, Sugar was highly overrated like most IBF champions. I mean, you can think that about Sugar, but I think it's the opposite. I think the IBF got the best champions. I'm telling y'all, these fighters are mid, man. These promoters just trying to push these prospects too fast. Who's not mid, Justin? My man said, no disrespect, but these Philly fighters ain't had much success lately. Well, look, man, life is all ups and downs. You win some, you lose some. There was a time where Bozy Ennis and all his fighters was winning fights seemingly. Now they can't seem to buy a fight. They can't seem to buy a win. So it happens. I saw, I'm not going to lie to you guys and act like I sat there and watched the whole Tamir Smalls, Abel Ramos fight because I didn't. I watched probably like the last 4 rounds, but Tamir, I didn't have no strong opinions on him because I'd watched one fight and I just did a little research on him for a video I did one time. But he just is a guy. He's a guy that had a big right hand. He was lacking a lot of craft, and for this fight with Abel Ramos, I thought it was a fight that could be potentially very dangerous for him because Ramos has been at that top level. He's fought Ugas, he's fought Barrios. Tamir ain't been on that level, and the level I've seen him at, he didn't look the greatest on that level. So. It happens. All right, my bad, guys. Bear with me if I seem a little flat. Bear with me. I'm a little tired. I didn't drink my coffee, but we came here to give you guys a live. So hopefully you guys appreciate it. We're here. Let me see. What up? My man said, I already commented this, but personally, it's a shame that we got 2 UK scrubs fighting for a trinket, even if the WBA title won't be on the line. Nav versus Foster will be the undisputed best man of 130. Yeah, that's a good fight. I was just talking about that in the car with my boy, the great trainer Miguel Leo, and I was getting his little insights on that. And that's a very good fight. Foster can obviously box. He's very disciplined too, but one thing about Vaquero is you can't train for him. You can't train for this fucking guy. He's gonna do things that you can't deal with. Yeah, shout out to my guy Abel Ramos, and Arizona Boxing. You got Abel Ramos getting a win against Tamir Smalls. You got Dave Benavidez fighting for the cruiserweight title on May 2nd. You got Brady Ochoa, Gilbert, Arizona's finest, fighting on Zuffa Boxing on March 8th on the undercard of Jal Pataya. So yeah, Arizona's here. Where the grass is green and the girls are the prettiest. I love Arizona. He said, dude, I was pulling for Nunez, so I was kind of shocked that he didn't take his Navarrete. Hats off to Navarrete nonetheless. Yeah, I got no problem with anybody losing a fight. I just don't like when fighters don't do what got them to the dance. You understand? Like, you ain't never boxed at all. You ain't never done it your whole career. And all of a sudden, you want to do that against Vaquero. Like, no, that's dumb. It was dumb. You're the younger fighter. You should have took it to him. If you get stopped, you get stopped. It's a Mexican fight. Y'all was going to fight and scrap anyways. Two Mexicans. Am I in Arizona? No, I am not in Arizona. I'd love to be in Arizona, but I'm not currently in Arizona. Right now I'm in the fight. If you don't know, guys, all right, just so you guys know, I'm in the fight capital of the world. You know, we're in camp for we're in pre-camp. I wouldn't even say we're in camp. We're in pre-camp for Angel Leo's IBF mandatory defense against 24-1 Rais the Beast Alim, and it's been a cool so far. It's been a good experience, you know, as all these camps are. But like, we haven't even gotten to the real part of camp, so I'm waiting for, you know, Manny Pacquiao Promotions to, you know, straighten some things out and get us this date, so, you know, we can really rub things up here. Nunez's corner shortened that man's career by not throwing the towel earlier. Man, he will not be the same after that last round. Yeah, it's in all likelihood, and I hate to say this because I like Sugar Nunez. I'm a big fan of the Sugar Man, but you know, Sugar Nunez probably won't even win a world title again. Honestly, he legit might not touch a world title ever again, just because that's the kind of beating that Vaquero just gave him. And it is what it is. It wouldn't make a difference. Nunez was never winning. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. If you saw, what was it, round? I can't remember the round exactly, but one of the middle rounds when he started stepping to him, man, he should have just let it all hang out when he was fresh before Vaquero got out of first gear. I just don't like when fighters. I hate when fighters don't give themselves the chance to win. You can lose a fight, and maybe you can even be outgunned, but don't fight in a style that's not your style and not give yourself a chance to win. That's what pissed me off about Nunez. But, you know, this is what it is. It's part of the game. Do I think the Charlie rematch would be different now? I don't know, man. I don't have any opinions on that right now. I'm trying to process why Sugar Nunez circled the ring for 4 rounds and just fought this retarded fight. Can Turkey get intrigued with Navarrete versus Nunez? Who is the favorite in that fight? The favorite would probably be. I don't know. I don't know what the favorite would be. Maybe I mean, it's Vaquero's weight division, so I would say him. But, you know, everyone thinks Inoue can't lose a fight, so until he loses, I guess he'll be the favorite in every fight. But listen, we can't even talk about Inoue being at fighting Vaquero because he got some things to come see at featherweight. Now, if you get the featherweight, then you talk about all the 130 you want. But right now, you need to come with the featherweight, and we got some things to settle. He said the IBF recently gave us Skull, Gutierrez, Ubaldo, and Crocker. This is very true. Those are all pretty subpar champions, so I understand your gripes, but I like the IBF. I don't think the Charlie Suarez rematch ever happens. It's more likely a match versus Navarrete versus Espinoza or not. I'm telling you right now, man, you know, if you guys want to see one of the most disrespectful classic rants in the history of this channel, let Espinoza go to 130 pounds. If Espinoza drops that belt, I swear on my life, if Espinoza drops that belt, you guys are going to get one of the most disrespectful, belligerent, ignorant rants in the history of this channel. I mean, and it won't surprise me, but I have a lot to say if he drops that belt. So, I mean, if you guys don't want to hear certain things, you better hope you don't drop that belt. My man says, mark my words, Nakatani will be Inoue. That'd be crazy. That would really shake a lot of things up if he did do that. He knew he wasn't the bigger puncher. Well, he wasn't the bigger puncher from mid-range or long range. That is true, but he was doing a lot. Sugar Nunez was doing a lot of good things on the inside. When he would actually close the gap and get on the inside and stop getting so damn cute, he had success and quite a lot of it. But again, it was to no avail because you already put yourself down 4 rounds because you thought you was O'Shaquie Foster or Shakur Stevenson. You're not O'Shaquie Foster or Shakur Stevenson. You're the sugar man. You got bricks in your hands, champ. You got to use them. Is Inoue ducking 126? I won't say that as of yet. He has his fight with Junta Nakatani. Now, if he beats Junta Nakatani and he says, "Oh, well, I want to fight some other guy at 122," and he finds an excuse, then yeah, then we'll say that. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. I can't say he's ducking just yet. And Gotti says, BT, did you see Bryce Mills called out Emanuel Navarrete post-fight? Both fought and won tonight. Yeah, I saw the fight. I was really intrigued with that fight with Bryce Mills and Tobias Green because quiet as kept. Tobias Green ducked one of my friends. He ducked Eric Lances Jr. Like 2 years ago, we were trying to put a fight together between Eric Lances Jr. and Tobias Green, and him and his manager, they was out here ducking smoke. So, I can see why. I can see why they didn't want to fight Eric Lances Jr. because Eric Lances Jr. wanted to knock him silly. But I saw the fight. Bryce has been doing this thing with fighting on those cards at the Turning Stone Casino. He's a bit of a ticket seller up there in the upstate New York area. I think that sounds like a very top ranked type of fight, Bryce Mills versus Emanuel Navarrete. I can see that fight happening. But I don't really care for it, if I'm being honest. That's right. The Toffees champ, Everton Football Club. Talk to him, champ. Yes, sir. 1878. Most seasons in the first division. 9 league titles. Shout out to Everton. Roth is going to 130. He has height and reach, frame, and can easily put on healthy muscular. All right, well, if he goes to 130, then you guys are going to have to deal with the constant disrespect of me saying he's ducking Angelo Leo. So I'm just saying, it's his prerogative, and he can do what he wants to do. But for months, you guys have been saying, oh, well, these featherweights want to unify, and it's about that time. It's about that time to start unifying. And if you go to 130, you ducking Angelo, you ducking Bruce Carrington, and you ducking Brandon Figueroa. So, I mean, he can do what he wants, but I'm gonna have a lot to say when it happens. Navarrete versus Abdullah Mason. Oh my God! Now, see, I haven't put no thought into them fighting, because that's not a match that ever crossed my mind. But hell, that'd be a crazy fight because we know Abdullah. He's one of these guys that likes to go in there and really fight you. Like, he's not going to be like Shakur, Devin, and look to box. He's going to look to really fight you and put these bricks on you, right? So, but with that, it leaves Abdullah a bit vulnerable. We've seen it in fights like against Sam Noakes, against that Spanish guy, the Hispanic guy that dropped him 2 times, him. So, yeah, that'd be crazy. Shout out to my guy, Boxing Learner, with the $20 super chat. He says, hey, BT, here's a little something for your effort. I think Vaquero Navarrete is a Hall of Famer and a pound-for-pound fighter. I think he's top 5 pound-for-pound. He's beaten a lot of good fighters since Beterbiev and Bivol are inactive. It's funny because if you guys haven't had a chance, I would highly advise you to go check out my last video, my post-fight review video for this fight. Angelo Leo was in the video. He gave his breakdown. And even Jin Sasaki made a cameo, right? A surprise cameo. So it's probably one of the most legendary post-fight review videos you'll ever see. But when Angelo was speaking in that video, I asked Angelo the question of, do you think Vaquero is a Hall of Famer? And to that, he said that he thinks that he's a Hall of Famer already. Because I asked, if he goes undisputed, do you think he's a Hall of Famer? And Angelo was like, well, no, I think he's already a Hall of Famer right now with what he's already accomplished. And to be fair, like, for as fun of an action fighter as he is, and for all the great fights he's given us, I don't feel like he gets enough consideration for pound, and he should, because there's guys that are on there right now and have been on there recently that have not accomplished what he's accomplished in the fight game. So, listen, man, he's been consistent. He's been consistently good for a long time. And I feel like that consistency should be rewarded. Nah, man. Nah, man. If Espinoza goes to 130 pounds, I don't give a fuck about. I don't care about what none of y'all say. He ducking Angelo Leo, and he's ducking the whole featherweight division. You guys listen. You guys can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and tell me every day, because every day I'm coming on these lives. You're telling me he's the best. You're telling me Espinoza is the best featherweight in the world. You're telling me he's the killer of the division. He's this and he's that. You don't get to say all those things and then run out the division before unifying. I don't care how great of a fighter Navarrete is or how big of a fighter it is. Nah, man. If you are giving him that title and people are saying he is this, he has to actually prove that. You don't just get that because you beat Robeisy Ramirez. Like, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Robeisy Ramirez. Like, you got to actually prove that time and time again. And so, like, look, if he fights Vaquero, it'll be a great fight. And I'll definitely watch it. I'll get excited about it. But it just means he ducked Angelo Leo and Bruce Carrington and Brandon Figueroa and didn't really prove himself to be the best featherweight in the world. Which, by the way, guys, that same stance that I'll take with Espinoza is the same stance that I took with Jaron Ennis when Jaron Ennis was at 147 pounds and everybody just hailed him as the Messiah of 147. And he never actually fought Brian Norman Jr. to go undisputed. So it's the same thing. I'm staying consistent, whether it's Boots, whether it's Espinoza, I don't care. But either way, thank you, Box Learner. I appreciate the super chat. Shout out to the Nobody 92. He says, "What are your thoughts on Chris Glover as a promoter, and why does he promote his events in Pakistan when Pakistan doesn't have a box history?" So my thoughts on Chris Glover as a boxing mind and as a promoter. As a promoter, he doesn't have a long history. He's more of a matchmaker, right? He's only match made. He's mostly played the role of matchmaker in his life in boxing. But as far as Pakistan, I mean, that's probably the opportunity he got, and they're trying to give him up. They're giving him a chance to promote at the highest level, and he's got some great ideas for certain fighters to revive their careers and give guys opportunities. And it is what it is. I mean, I'm all for I'll be honest with you. I personally don't have any ambition to travel to Pakistan. I don't, with all due respect to the Middle East. I don't have. It's not something that's on my to-do list. Like, there's not really anything that I feel I need to see in Pakistan. But I mean, I'm all for boxing being healthy all around the world and being a global sport and those kind of things. But yeah, shout out to Chris, man. He's giving some really good fighters opportunities that don't get opportunities anywhere else, like Lawrence Newton, who I think could be a world champion. So, yeah, shout out to Chris. That's all I can say. We don't care about your bias. Espinoza is 6 foot plus at 5'22". I can't blame him for moving. Nah, man, nah. You guys can't do that. You guys can't say that. You guys can't, because I listen. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew that Vaquero was going to fight Nunez, and there was a good chance he was probably going to win because he's a really good fighter, even though I picked Nunez. And I knew y'all would get on this bullshit. That's why I got out in front of it. Nah, man, you don't get to label someone. You don't get to label someone as a killer when he didn't fucking fight anybody. He fought one guy. He fought one guy who throws 300 punches a fight and wanted to quit boxing going into the rematch. All right, you don't get to do that and then run up to 130. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I like Espinoza. I think he's awesome for boxing, and I think the Navarrete fight is an awesome fight. But again, you guys come on here every single day and you tell me, well, BT, your boy is ducking Espinoza. Espinoza is this killer. No one beats Espinoza at featherweight. Only Espinoza has a chance to beat Naoya Inoue. So if all those things people are saying about him are true, then he will stay at featherweight and he will actually try to prove some of those things true. If not, then he's ducking. I don't care what you say. BT, Gustavo said that Espinoza is having a voluntary. I mean, why? He just had a voluntary. What do you mean? How is he having a voluntary? He just had a voluntary. He just fought a can. He fought an okay guy. See, this is why you get the hater label. And you know what? You know what, Justin Todd? Excuse my French. I don't give half of a singular fuck if I have the hater label. I just tell y'all how it is, and y'all don't want to hear it. Y'all don't want to hear it. You guys, like you, Justin, I think it was you. You was just in here running your mouth about, oh, these promoters hype these guys up and these fighters are mid. Okay, well, what's Espinoza? Like, he's a good fighter, but like, who has he beat besides Obasi? Who has he beat? Like, who? Tell me. You the expert, right? You the one sending super chats talking bullshit. What is it? Who did he beat that was so great besides Obasi? And why is it a crime that I'm asking Rafael Espinoza to try to be in a unification fight against either Brandon Figueroa, Bruce Carrington, and or Angelo Leo? Is that a crime? Why is it a crime that I actually held Jaron Ennis to the standard his fans set for him? Because go back in my video archive. I was saying no. Before Brian Noman was ever a thing at 147. Before I even cared about Boots Ennis against any of those guys at 47, I said no. I was saying it like I think I'm gonna say it was just after Karen won, somewhere around that time, just after Karen won, when Bud wasn't gonna be in the division no more, Spence was out of the picture. I said, you know what, this division is weak. Get up on out of here and go to 54. I was saying it after Karen won, and Boots fans were saying, "Oh, BT, no, he needs to stay and go undisputed at welterweight." So then he stayed at welterweight, and then a guy emerged that I cared about him fighting. And then when I held him to that, now I'm still a hater because I held him to what people said he was doing in the first place. So I mean, you can't win. You can't win. You guys hype. You guys put these labels on these fighters, and then when I start holding them to these standards, now all of a sudden, you know, BT's the hater. BT's the bad guy because the fight hypes and the ES Newses and all the other channels of the world, they don't hold them accountable. So I gotta be the bad guy. He says, why on that list did you put Leo last? Why you put Leo last on the list you mentioned? I put him last because if I put him first, then people are going to say I'm biased. So if I put him last, you know, maybe you guys, you know, I don't know. That's where I put him. Whether I put him last, first, second, third, you know, Espinoza, I don't think I listen, guys, just being honest, like just telling the God's honest truth. I never thought he wanted to fight Angelo. Never. Because I've talked to people on his team. I've talked to people in the fight game, and I know that Zanford don't want to do that. They want to do other stuff. Dude, I say I'm more realistic the most boxing channels. That's what makes True School Sports refreshing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And they're saying, I am relaxed, but no, y'all get me out of character because like y'all be co-signing bullshit, and then when I call it out, I'm the bad guy. It's easy to say that when you ain't the one fighting in the ring and you priving yourself just to make a fight. Well, look, man, no one told his skinny ass to be a featherweight. No one told Rafael Espinoza to be a featherweight. He chose that. So when he became champion, all right, and then you guys, many of the people out there crowning the best featherweight in the world, I want to see if that's true. And I'm sorry, him fighting Obasi Ramirez two times, it doesn't prove that. Him fighting Obasi Ramirez and then a bunch of cans after that doesn't prove that. So, you know, that's what it is. Raymond Ford versus Foster is going to be a great fight for Havas Matchroom. I like that fight. And it was good to see Raymond Ford and Foster ringside tonight. Hopefully they get it done. And hopefully Ford can finally have a great performance again because he's been winning these fights. But it's almost like I got to talk crazy about Raymond Ford for him to perform well because he ain't had a great performance since I talked crazy about him going into the Komatov fight. When he fought all these other guys, he won, but it wasn't like, you know, when he fought Nova, it wasn't sensational. When he fought what's his name? Orlando Capo Gonzalez, like he won, but it wasn't sensational. Like we need the sensational Ford back. So I might have to start talking crazy about Raymond Ford again because I had him pissed off for greatness going into the Komatov fight. He's over here tweeting me on Twitter and adding me on Instagram. Navarrete is in the Hall of Fame after tonight. I don't want to see people moving the goalposts. He already had a solid. I mean, I've seen fighters get in the Hall of Fame for a lot less than he's done. And for me, one thing that I'm big on when it comes to Hall of Fame is it's a combination of things for me. It's a combination of like consistency, you know, your overall body of work. It's also you know, who did you beat, of course, and then, you know, moments. You know, were you the kind of fighter that gave boxing fans specific moments in a fight that transcend just the result or the belt? And I feel like he's done that if there's one thing Vaquero Navarrete has done in his career, he's given us some moments. Gave us moments tonight. He always gives us moments. That's why every time he fights, it's a special occasion. He says, Rafa, name is divine, ordained by the Lord. Man can do no wrong. Well, hey, the good book says we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So yes, he can do some wrong. I can do some wrong. He can do some wrong. And in my little opinion, right, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just a YouTube channel, right? But like, I don't think him leaving featherweight, like, okay, ideally I would like it to be against Angelo Leo because I think it's a great fight. I think Angelo can beat him, and I want to be part of that, in trying to help Angelo beat Espinoza. But like, even Angelo aside, even if he leaves the division without fighting Shushu Carrington or Brandon Figueroa, at least one of the champions, I feel it's not good. It's not good. And I know the Vaquero fight is a big fight. I know it's a big money fight, but come on, man. Like, a lot of y'all call him the best featherweight in the world. I've been telling y'all he's not that. Yes, in my opinion, Leo is high risk for these fighters. Hell of a performance versus Bernardo, who was the bully. Very high risk. It's a high reward, though. I think it's a high reward. He's 26-1. He's 2-division champion. He's not no slouch. They should have a Super 6 tournament at featherweight. I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see a Super 6 tournament at featherweight. I'm with you on that. I'll put it y'all like this. I'll put like there's a lot of discourse in boxing right now about Junto Nakatani. Is he overrated? Is he underrated? Is he properly rated? Should he be on the pound list? I'm gonna say it like this: Junto's an awesome fighter. But especially after tonight, I would say on the current pound list for Ring Magazine, Vaquero, I think, has a stronger case to be top 10 pound for pound than Junto Nakatani and Oscar Collazo. Though he should be at no less the number 10 fighter in the pound for pound fighter in the world. Body of work, names, when he's fighting these guys, how he's beating them, scaling weight classes, winning world titles. Now he's unified. I mean, like, what more do you want? You think Angelo's too small for Sugar Nunez? Are you sure about that? I don't think so. I think Sugar will get mollywopped by Angelo. Honestly, like, Sugar's a good fighter. I like Sugar. Nah, man, he lose. Remove Devin Haney and put that's a hell of an argument, though. I mean, Devin's what? Devin was 135, 140, 147. So they're both 3-division champions. Devin was undisputed, so I mean, he's got that going for him. I know he beat Cambosis, but he went undisputed. So, and he does have a win against what's his name, Lomachenko on paper, even though people thought he lost. A lot of people thought he lost. Navarrete is the second best behind Canelo as the greatest Mexican fighter of the last 10 years. I don't know, man. Is Canelo really number one? You think Canelo's really number one? Canelo just got outboxed by a 135 pounder. A guy who started front 135. I don't know, man. I got mixed feelings on him too. Like, I try to in Canelo's later years, I've tried to be more gracious and respectful. And he's obviously a Hall of Famer. He's a 4-division champion. He's a fantastic fighter. But I don't know, man. Like, when it came to like their big fights, if you just look at, like, okay, Vaquero Navarrete, Gallo Estrada, and Canelo, because for my money, over the last 10 years, those are the 3 best Mexican fighters. When you look at how all 3 of those guys performed in their biggest fights, Vaquero Navarrete and Gallo Estrada performed better in their biggest fights than Canelo did in his biggest fights. That's how I see it. You can say, I know you can see and say, oh, well, Canelo beat this, he beat this name and he beat that name, and he won undisputed. He did all those great things, right? But I'm just looking at it as performance, like who performed better when it mattered the most in their career. And Vaquero and Gallo, and like I would say, like, Gallo's biggest fights were against Roman Gonzalez and Rungvisai. right? Those I would say, and you could say Cuadras as well. Those three opponents, right? And all the fights he had with those guys, those were his biggest moments in his career, and he performed very well, throughout the duration of those moments of his career. You look at Vaquero. I mean, I think tonight was one of the biggest moments of his career. Unifying the division with a fellow Mexican fighter who was in his physical prime. The Oscar Valdez fight, Ruben Villa, who was an undefeated guy, who was supposed to do great things in boxing, and Vaquero ruined his career. Like, the dude is retired. He completely ruined him. Isaac Dogbe, who was, undefeated guy, who was a top champion. Like, I just feel like, you can sit here and say Canelo was better, maybe because he sold more tickets and he was more famous. But I don't know, man. When it came to the most important moments of their careers, those guys performed better than Canelo did. And I don't think that's crazy to say, because you look at Canelo's biggest fights, they were against Golovkin, right? 1 and 2 were very debatable. I thought Canelo probably won the second one. I thought he lost the first one. And the third one was just a cash cow. We don't even count the third one. Mayweather, he got exposed. Big Boy got exposed. Crawford, he got exposed, right? Like, that. And then, you know what? To be fair, I'll throw Kovalev in there, because that's him going to light heavyweight, fighting Kovalev, right? And he beat him. So he's like been in his biggest moments, he's been pretty hit or miss. But like Vaquero has not been hit or miss for the most part. He's been pretty damn consistent. Guy was pretty damn consistent. Canelo just didn't have their level of consistency in the biggest moments. So for me, I'm not even sure if Canelo should be that high, but that's my opinion. 93 Octane says Angelo's skill set thus far will be terribly shit on versus Rafael Espinoza. Rafael Espinoza does not have the skills to compete with Angelo Leo. That's why he's going to 130. I'll put it like that. Like, I'm done being nice. I'm to that point where I'm done being nice. Like, I'm gonna start telling y'all what the fuck I really think, and just be disrespectful about it, because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the things that you guys give people passes for. It's ridiculous to me. He says, BT, what up, man? Good to see you, champ. Good to see, and good to see everybody here. I'm just having fun. I'm being passionate with it, and I'm just telling y'all what I think, as you guys tell me what you think. BT, you got hate in your heart for Canelo, and I don't know why. I actually don't have. Maybe I did at one point, but I don't anymore. Like there's nothing to hate on. Like, it's what I was saying all those years ago has already been proven truth tenfold. Like, two things. Like, the problem with a lot of boxing fans is you guys don't know how to compartmentalize. Like, we're adults. Two things can be true. It is possible for a fighter to be a fantastic fighter and be a Hall of Famer and be a legend and all those things. But it is also possible, while at the same time, that they can be overrated. And overrated doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're terrible fighters or anything like that. It just means that what they've actually done in the boxing ring versus the hype they're getting don't match up. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying about Canelo. You used to be a hater on Navarrete, thought he was sloppy, fight that relied on grit and volume. Tonight he displayed IQ and skill. I never hated Navarrete. I may have misunderstood him at one point in time, but I would never say I hated him. Like, I'll be honest. I'm honest. Like, if I don't like someone, I'll tell you guys who I do and I don't like. All right. I didn't like Canelo at a particular point in time. I didn't like him. I thought that Canelo Alvarez avoided certain fighters, and I thought that people gave him too much credit for running through a very weak 168 division. That being said, I never felt that way at all about Vaquero. For sure, hate for Canelo. Name me 3 fighters Navarrete fought that are greater than Floyd. None. But you can't use those guys because Canelo didn't beat any of them. He didn't beat none of those guys. And forget even beating them. He wasn't even competitive. He wasn't even in the fight. Like, it wasn't even remotely close. J-Dub says, I feel like I'm one of the few people that thinks Espinosa loses to all the other champions at 126 and shit. So does Zanford Promotions. That's why they're probably gonna move him up to 130 and go fight Vaquero because they know what it is. I mean, you can use him if you want, but like if he was competitive, like if he had lost like 7-5, if it was a close fight, if he had given a spirited effort and lost, I would have said, okay, go ahead and use it. But see, that's like it's funny how this dog comes back to Canelo. That's like criticism I have of Canelo and why I don't rate him as highly as other Mexican fighters, because he's one of these fighters that when things don't go his way right away in the fight, he never comes back and wins a fight. When he has to chase a fight, he doesn't make the adjustments to come back and win. That's not the kind of fighter he is. He's never been that fighter. He's a guy that he needs to be in control the whole way through. Otherwise, he don't win. That's how it works with him. And that's not hate, and that's not being emotional. That's the truth. Like the best part of his career was 168 when he fought Callum Smith and when he fought Billy Joe Saunders and when he fought them kind of guys. And what all those fights have in common was that Canelo Alvarez was in control the whole way through. When he fought Bivol, had to make some adjustments, he couldn't make them. When he fought Crawford, had to make some adjustments, he couldn't make them. When he fought Floyd, had to make some adjustments, he couldn't make them. And I would say the only time you could really say he did do that, I would say it's maybe the Golovkin rematch. I'll give him credit for the Golovkin rematch because I thought that actually was probably his finest hour. But other than that, what I said holds true. Like I look at fighters like when people want to bring up fighters in fights they lost. If they lose the fight, at least make it to where they gave a great effort, or they hurt a guy or they knocked him down. Like not like Canelo. Canelo lose these fights 10-2, 12-0, 11-1, 9-3. Like not even in the fight, and you talking about he fought these guys. Yeah, he got exposed by those guys. It's not being on that level. I mean, because I'll tell you this: if you're gonna say, well, Canelo fought all these great fighters and he lost to all of them, okay, well then what about all these journeymen that don't make any big paydays in boxing and they fight everyone? Do you give them credit for fighting everyone and fighting the best? Do you give Darnell Boone credit for fighting Adonis Stevenson 2 times and knocking him out once, and fighting Andre Ward and all these other guys and Kovalev? Is he a great fighter too? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying a loss is bad. I'm not downing Canelo. Like, I want you to understand. I'm not downing Canelo losing to those great fighters because he lost to them. It's how he lost to them. He was never in the fight. When things didn't go well for him, he accepted it like 3 times against all those guys. He accepted it. He had no adjustments, no game plan. And that's why I'm saying that. If it's like a let's say Meldrick Taylor versus Chavez situation, or like, you know, any fight where a guy has to come back and win, or if you lose by the hair of your chinny chin chin, but you tried and you were in the fight, then that's different. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna say, well, if I'm using, because my point is, the initial comment was that Vaquero is the second best Mexican fighter of the last 10 years behind Canelo. And to me, I'm not even sure why I put Canelo, because Canelo Alvarez in his biggest moments got outclassed. That's the fact. Vaquero in his biggest moments did not get outclassed. Guy Estrada in his biggest moments did not get outclassed. So I'm not even sure where I would rank everyone, but I'm not even sure Canelo's number 1. That's all I'm trying to say. And then you got people saying, oh, well, he fought, who did Vaquero fight as great as these 3 fighters that Canelo got his ass spanked by, right? So, okay, if you're going to use that for Canelo, then you got to use it for George Kambosos Jr., Who did Keyshawn Davis fight as good as Devin Haney and Lomachenko and Teo and Hitchens, Let's do that. Who has a resume as good as George Kambosos Jr., since it doesn't matter, Nah, absolutely not. I'd take Guy Estrada. 10 times over Canelo and twice on Sunday. Canelo hasn't defeated one fighter on his entire resume better than Roman Gonzalez. Not one. Not one. And don't run over here and tell me Golovkin, the guy who was beating up on 154 pounders his whole career. Just how he lost to great fighters, he beat great fighters. He lost to Floyd at a young age and became the face of boxing. You got to respect that. He was already being he was already being groomed to be the face of boxing before he fought Floyd, because when he got into the superstardom role, boxing needed it. He just came along at the right time. All right. He became the face of boxing because boxing wanted him to become the face of boxing. He was a good fighter. He was a good fighter. He beat Austin Trout. He beat some really good fighters. I won't say he didn't beat some good fighters along the way, but y'all making it sound like Gallo Estrada is not anywhere close to Canelo Alvarez, and I think that's ridiculous, because there's not one fighter. Please name me one fighter on Canelo's whole resume that he beat as good as Roman Gonzalez. Who did Canelo ever beat on his resume that was the pound for pound number one fighter in the sport of boxing? Name him, please. I beg you. Pierce was never good, man. Too chinny. He would never hold up. Well, fun does not mean good. That's true. Fun does not mean good. That is very true. Fun doesn't mean good. He's still. I mean, even though he got his ass whooped, still a middle. He's still a middling contender. He'll be in the mix. But actually, what I'll say about Pierce is this: he lost to Sagawa early in his career. He had another loss to who else did he lost to Sagawa, and he lost to another guy. I can't remember right now. He's got a couple losses now. So now I think he's probably going to be in that role of gatekeeper until he fights his way out of that, So we'll see how it goes. He says, BT, you're out of your rabbit ass. My Canelo fought everybody and won 90% of them. He's a living legend. I mean, he didn't fight Dave Benavidez. He didn't fight Demetrius Andrade. He didn't fight. Come on, man. How the hell, guys, did the Vaquero Navarrete live turn into a 2021 True School Sports Live where I got to tell you guys the truth about Canelo? Like, what are we doing? Like, that's what I'm saying. How many wins does Canelo have on competition greater than or equal to Nunez for Navarrete? Well, I'll say Austin Trout. I thought was a very good win at the time. Austin Trout was a good win. Callum Smith, overrated. When that fight got signed, I told everyone, I said that's gonna be one of the most uncompetitive title fights of 2020. And that was right. Billy Joe really wasn't a good 68 pounder. He was better. He was a better 60 pounder than he was 68. Because when he won at 68, he beat the guy Isufi for a vacant belt. All the work that he did to build his name in boxing was at 160, right? And Canelo didn't fight him at 60, he fought him at 68. So that one was, was cool. Caleb Plant. I mean, I liked Caleb Plant. I wanted him to win, but you've seen how that win has aged for him. So, I mean, what do you want? It's not many. Man, y'all going crazy in this chat. All I'm trying to say is, look, because I'm not really here to talk about Cinnamon. I'm here to talk about Vaquero. All I'm trying to say is, I think there's a legitimate debate you can make that Vaquero might actually be, and I know people are not going to like this because Canelo has been so pushed on everyone's throats that it's hard to fathom that there might actually be a Mexican fighter from the last 10 years better than him. But there's a couple. It's like one or two of them. And I think Vaquero is one of them. He's giving people great fights consistently. He's not ducking fighters like Canelo was openly ducking fights like Benavidez with Andrade, and people was applauding him for it. Like I never heard Vaquero say you want payday or I don't want to fight this guy because he's boring or any of those things. Vaquero has always been with the shits and was always like, yo, let's run it. Let's do it. Like, to me, he's represented Mexican boxing better than Canelo. Yeah, y'all got me wide awake now. I wasn't tired, but then y'all pissed me off. y'all pissed me off with this giving Rafael Espinoza a pass after you guys spent over a year and a half, 2 years calling him a killer, and then now with this it's like you guys don't understand that there could be guys of the last 10 years that were just as good from Mexico, if not better than Canelo. My man Lalo says, "See, this what makes you seem like a hater. You can't point out the good that Canelo has done, just the bad." Yeah, I just pointed out the good. I literally just pointed out the good. Somebody just asked me about his best wins and then I just said Austin Trout. Austin Trout fight was a very good fight. Austin Trout was one of the top 54 pounders in the world. He did his thing, and I even mentioned Kovalev, him going up to light heavyweight to beat Kovalev, to become a light heavyweight champion, which was impressive because he's turned pro at 147. So I did mention those things. You choose not to hear them, and truth be told, I don't give half of a singular fuck if I am a hater. If that's how you guys see me, I'm not gonna fight against that. These days, anytime you point out very obvious things that anyone can go look up on box record or just anything, you get called a hater. But it's just the truth. I'm not saying Canelo is not a great fighter. He is a great fighter. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's a 4 division champion. The sport is a hard game, right? I understand it. I really do. I trust me. I overstand it. Like, it's a hard sport. So winning even one world title is an accomplishment, and I give credit to any fighter who's won a world title. But when you start getting into conversations about like who's the best this and who's the best that, that's when you have to really start like looking at things very critically. And like I said, when you because for me, when I judge a fighter's career, I judge them how they perform in the biggest moments of their career, right? And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying about Canelo. Is it hating that I'm saying like the Mayweather fight wasn't close, the Bivol fight wasn't close, and the Khan fight wasn't close? Is that hating? That's not hating. Navarrete was outclassed when he moved up. He moved up 3 times. He tried to move up 4 times. He lost. That's fine. He went back down to where he was at and just started dominating. Yeah. Man, Roman Gonzalez is an all-time great. Roman Gonzalez is literally that's a living legend. Y'all throwing around this Canelo stuff like yeah, he's a very good fighter. He's a Hall of Famer, all that stuff. But no. That's a living legend right there. That's a living legend. That's a guy that fought top fighters in their prime and beat them up and had like real deal, like sensational knockout performances. That's a living legend. In my book, Benavidez and Bam are Mexicans, and they hopefully will have better career than Canelo. I hope Mexico fan base gets behind them. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. James asked me who's Angelo fighting. He's fighting Rai Salim. He's fighting Rai Salim. When? I'm not sure, but it can't be no later than May 18th. So when the date happens, I'll definitely talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Trust me. So I had that problem myself too. And I'm getting better at it as I get older with people in my own life. But like people just think like I don't. First of all, let me now tell you guys this about Canelo Alvarez, right? Since we're talking about Canelo, I had the honor to cover his fight. Who did he fight? I had the honor to cover his fight when he fought Edgar Berlanga, and I actually grew a deeper respect for Canelo Alvarez because I saw how he conducts his business, like how professional he was with us in the media and even with his own team, and just I saw just by how he carried himself why he got to where he got to. So I have respect for him. What I don't have respect for is people that try to like tell me that he's better than certain Mexican fighters when I know he's not. I know he's not better than those guys inside the ring or outside the ring. Yeah, he looked good tonight. He looked really good tonight. we'll see how long it continues. We'll see how long it continues. I definitely want to see him mix it up with Shock Foster because that's a legacy fight. That's a fight that really and truthfully I think will determine who is the true number one of the division. So yeah, long may it continue. I know he got a nutritionist. Espinosa got listen. If he got a nutritionist and can stay at 130 pounds, then Rafael Espinosa he got a nutritionist too. I bet y'all don't know that he got a nutritionist. He can stay at 126 and run it and prove that he's what you guys say he is. Roman is the product of HBO, jackhammering pound for pound over Bud and Ward. No thanks. Well, I mean, at that time he was better than Ward and Bud. Bud hadn't done enough yet because if we're talking about 2016, that time because Roman Gonzalez became pound for pound king around 2015, 2016. Bud hadn't even won a world title yet at 140 pounds in like 2016. Maybe it was like late in the middle or early part of 2016. But he was like by the middle of 2016, he was like a 2-division champion, right? So even though he was a great fighter and you could see that he was on his way, he wasn't there yet. And then Ward, he wasn't fighting. He wasn't fighting like that because of the promotional issues. Then when he fought Alexander Brand and Paul Smith and these kind of guys and Sullivan Barrera. And then he fought Kovalev and he won a very controversial fight. So, I mean, I think Roman Gonzalez was blowing through everyone in his weight classes. He was lineal champion at flyweight. He beat Carlos Cuadras in his very first fight at super flyweight to become a 4-division champion. And he did it with no tune-ups. So, I mean, what you want? He earned his spot as number one pound for pound. Actually, I won't say that for Terrence Crawford. I won't say it for Terrence Crawford as far as like the HBO creation hype jobs. But really, y'all want the truth? Y'all want the truth? What you said about what the guy said about Roman, it applied more to Andre Ward because Andre Ward hadn't fought for years. He hadn't fought for years. Or a year and a half or 2 years, whatever it was, because of the lawsuit with the Goosens. And then he just fights Pudding Pop Paul Smith and he fights Alexander Brand. And then boom, he's just in the top 5 pound for pound again. It's like, nah, man, he got privileged, you know. Then when he fought Kovalev, you know, let's not even get into that, man. Let's not even get into that. I already got videos from years ago talking about all that stuff. Y'all want to know what I said all those years ago? Go watch them videos. That's a good question, J-Dub. I would like to see Vaquero test the waters at least one more time at 35. I would love to see him get that 4-division championship because I'll tell you, oh my God, let Vaquero win a world title in a 4th division, and then you think I'm going crazy now about him and Canelo and who's the best? Nah, man. If he actually does get that 4th division title, then it's gonna be a real conversation. He says, for sure, I feel I get where you're coming from. I might be biased enough, but I'm also a casual when it comes to boxing. I've only been watching for 4 to 5 years, and I respect. Thank you, champ. No, I mean, listen, man. I'm not. He's very good. You know the saying. There's a saying in life. You know, they say like it's better to be lucky than good, and luckily for Canelo, he was both. He was good and he was lucky. So let me explain what I mean. He was lucky because he came into the fight game when just after Oscar had just left, there had been a bit of a down period, a quiet period for Mexican superstar boxers, right? There wasn't a Mexican superstar boxer that was just there waiting after Oscar left the game. And so Canelo had built up a good record in Mexico. And then Oscar signed him, and then he decided, you know what, I want to try to groom this kid to be that. And he had the skill, and he showed it in the fights that with the guys put in front of him that he was ready for that, right? That because no matter what I say about, you know, oh, he fought this guy, I can sit here and say, oh yeah, well, he fought Matthew Hatton, he fought this guy, fought that guy. No matter how much they handpick a guy for a fighter, the fighter still has to be good enough to go out there and win the fights. And to his credit, he was. So he came at the right time, and he was good enough to win the fights to get him into that position. But I just think that when you start talking about him and you start comparing him to guys like Salvador Sanchez, Eric Morales, Chavez Sr., Ricardo Lopez, He's very good, but he's not on, in my opinion, he is not on that tier of Mexican fighters. He's not. Those guys didn't just win their biggest fights. They put belt to ass in their biggest fights. No, no. Roman Gonzalez did not get he did not get selected number one pound pound over Floyd. Floyd retired, and then Roman Gonzalez became the number one fighter after Floyd retired. And guess what? Floyd Mayweather himself said that he was deserving of that spot. Floyd himself, I got the video and I got the audio to prove it. Floyd himself said that Chocolatito was deserving of that spot. Oh, you know what? Let me touch on this one a little bit because a lot of you guys are mentioning Emiliano Vargas. Shout out to Emiliano Vargas. He had a good opponent in there with him tonight. A guy who was strong and sturdy, who was coming to win. And I didn't like what I saw early, but I liked the poise that I saw as the fight wore on. You know, that's one of them guys that you had to beat the fight out of. And I think him being able to finish a guy like him, Quintana, that right there will do a lot for his confidence, and that's a good step in his development. So we'll see what's next for him. Top Rank is not gonna rush this kid. This is one of their uh next stars. So I want to see him fight Ernesto Tito Mercado, but I know that ain't gonna happen because Ernesto Mercado is really punching like that, and he's skillful. And Emmy's defense needs some work, but again, this was a good developmental fight for him today, and yeah, it was just good to see him go through a little bit of adversity, a little bit of resistance, and then do his thing and start putting belt to ass in the latter parts of the fight. He's not. I'm sorry, he's not. He's a good fighter. You could say if you want to say Canelo Alvarez is maybe the fifth best Mexican fighter of all time. Okay, that's cool. But if you start telling me he's top three, he's the best, he's second best, you even tell me he's fourth. No, he's not. He's not there with Salvador Sanchez. He's not there with Ricardo Lopez. He's not there with Chavez. He's not there with Eric Morales. Them four for sure. He's not with them guys. And then, if you want to start mentioning guys like, Vicente Salvador and guys like that, I mean, that's also another guy. He was the longest reigning featherweight champion until my boy from Japan, Kuniaki Shibata, came in and put bricks all over him and beat the hell out of him. But other than that, Salvador was Vicente Salvador was kicking ass and taking names for a historically long time, and he gets forgotten about in the pantheon of the great Mexican fighters because y'all want to power up Canelo Alvarez. And that's the kind of thing that makes my blood boil, honestly. My man PYP says Ricardo Lopez is the best Mexican ever. I mean, he fought at 105 pounds, so I mean, he beat some good fighters. Not he didn't beat fighters with the name recognition of, let's say, like the guys on Canelo's resume or even a Salvador Sanchez. But if we're talking about, if you just take the resumes aside and you just looking at pure skills, like just pure skills, he probably is the best Mexican fighter of all time. Honestly, him or Salvador Sanchez. I think it's, you can go 1A and 1B, but I'll probably say Ricardo Lopez because as great as Salvador was, and he was great, he was the truth. I feel like Ricardo Lopez might have even been more dominant than him because there's a couple of fights for Salvador Sanchez where I could point out and say, well, hey, Salvador, he didn't look good in this fight. This guy exposed some things. Wasn't really too much, if any, of that in Ricardo Lopez's career, apart from maybe like one of those Rosendo Alvarez fights that was scored a draw. But other than that, belt to ass his whole career on everyone. My man said nothing about Emiliano Vargas is special and his power isn't for real. I don't like. I'm not as bullish and I'm not as high on Vargas as a lot of people in the fight game are. He's good. I think he's good for the sport. I think he's got some talent, but I really think they're putting the right guys in front of him, and he's doing what he needs to do. So shout out to him. I don't think he beats a Mason, Abdullah Mason, if they ever fight. Oh man, my guy said he said all them Vargas brothers is trash. All of them. So no love for Amato, no love for Junior. If Salvador Sanchez lived a lengthy life, I wonder how it would have impacted the Mexican style. That's a good question. That's actually something very interesting. That's a very interesting like perspective there because I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think it would have changed much. To be honest with you, because as great as Salvador is and as influential as he could be, I just think that they got a certain way about them in Mexico. It's a philosophy, right? Like if anybody who knows the Mexican culture, if you're Mexican yourself or if you got Mexican friends, you know that one of the popular sayings in Mexican households, is con huevos, con huevos, like do everything with your balls, like con huevos, right? Like Angelo's dad would tell me sometimes, BT, do this con huevos, hit the bag with con huevos, pick up the take out the trash con huevos, whatever. And that's the mentality of Mexican fighters. So naturally, because of how the culture is, you're gonna get Mexican fighters that come on their front foot and come to try to knock you out. That's what it is. Now Salvador wasn't like that. He was built a bit differently. He was a bit more scientifical and boxed and moved and was rangy, but he still had that killer instinct as well. So I don't know. I think it still would have been. You still would have got pretty much what you got with the Mexican style, but it is a very interesting thing to think about. That's what I'm saying. He says Vaquero has his own style. It's throw putazos. Yeah, like he fights you. Vaquero Navarrete, he fights you like you just insulted one of his sisters at a quinceañera, and he just there with a Modelo on his hand. All right, not caring about nothing, and he just throwing down. My man says, honestly, as much as I love Salvador Sanchez, I don't know if he would have got past Arguello. He might have lost. Arguello might have knocked his ass out because Arguello is a great fighter, and that would have been Salvador moving up in weight. And we never really got a chance to see what Salvador could do moving up in weight against a great fighter like Arguello. So we don't know how it would have played out. So it's very possible that El Flaco Explosivo might have knocked his ass out. We'll never know. Zayas has much better ring IQ and wasn't being fed terrible opponents to get early KOs. Xander was built like if you want to see anybody ever asks you and they say, look, what's the best example of how to build a fighter? You can look at Xander Zayas and you'll have your answer. He fought good guys. Like I mean, he fought good veteran fighters like Jose Luis Sanchez, Guerrero from New Mexico. Really good. Solid gatekeeper opponent. He fought Quincy Lavalas, who was a crafty guy. He fought people before becoming champion that got him ready. But yeah, shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. I hope everybody's doing good wherever you're at in the world. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe, super chat. I honestly don't even know how I'm awake right now, and I'm giving you guys this live. This right now with no coffee is just all God. It's all you guys saying the right things to piss me off, wake me up. So I appreciate you guys in the chat as well. BT, can Ford Foster be a main event, and in which city? Could it be a main event? That's a good question. Could it be a main event? It could be a main event somewhere. I just don't know where. Because let me see, four is not a proven ticket seller. Neither is Foster. Maybe maybe somewhere like the Turning Stone Casino, something like that. Turning Stone, something like that. They said they want to know where's Angelo, Leo, and Jin Sasaki. Well, Jin's somewhere else. So we were with Jin at the casino, watching the fights, and Angelo's probably off in the living room, catching some Z, sleeping. My man said Put the sombrero on. Y'all want to put sombrero on? I mean, it's not my sombrero. I mean, I can't be I can't be touching the sombrero. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch the sombrero. It's not mine. Why is it wrong to properly build a fighter, especially after you invest major bread? Nothing. Nothing is wrong about everybody. Every promoter and manager should always try to build their fighter properly. But like there's a fine line because there's building your fighter properly and getting him like the right fights at the right time against good veteran fighters that can give him just enough resistance for him to learn something, but not beat him. Right? That's the art of matchmaking and moving a fighter. Is you put him in with the fighter who is a competent professional, competent enough to give them enough resistance to, you know, give them valuable experience and so they can learn something in the ring. But you know, you don't want to give him cans because you don't learn anything from fighting cans. So yeah, I mean, there's no problem with that. If you invest money into a fighter, if as a manager or whatever, it's your prerogative to build them properly. You know, regardless of what people like me in the media or boxing fans say, it's your investment. As hot as everyone seems to be on Xander, I don't think he's on Cotto's level special. He had to beat some higher profile fighters. I don't think he is either. I don't even think they're the same kind of fighters. So I don't like doing those comparisons because they're not the same type of fighters. Cotto is a pure boxer puncher. Xander, you know, if you ask Peter Kahn and people in his management team, they'll say he's a boxer puncher. I think he's more of a boxer than he is a puncher. Have you tried getting Norman Jr. in a live or even going to camp with him? You think that's possible? As far as getting him on a live, I mean, I tried to get Norman Jr. on an interview back in December. I actually I was going to the WBA convention in December, so on the way there, I decided to go stop by Georgia and go to his gym. And I reached out to his dad, I reached out to him, and I reached out to Tay Jones. And I eventually I got a hold of him, and basically he declined to do the interview because he said that he wasn't doing interviews. So I still went to his gym. I still did a video about his gym, but you know he wasn't there, and he didn't want to do the interview at that particular time. And as far as going to camp with him, I don't think that's not in play. You know, I like Norman. We're cool. We're cool, but not to that degree. You know, but I wish him the best. I love Brian Norman Jr. and he's got a great team around him, so he don't need me. You know, he don't need me. My man Raw Dog says, "Did Murataya force you to rethink your opinion?" Oh, I think he's a good fighter. I mean, I was really impressed with Raymond, with how he was able to cut off the ring against Andy Cruz. Um, I think so. This is why matchmaking is important because a lot of those fights that I was being very hypercritical of Raymond, like Tevin Farmer and Zolani Ndengeni, where he looked like, let's be real, he looked mid. He looked like, I don't want to say he looked like a scrub because that would be being harsh, but you know, he didn't look nothing too great. He did not look like the next champion. But those fights and that experience served him very well when it counted, and those fights are why he was able to beat Andy Cruz. So shout out to him. He's a good fighter. But you know what's crazy? I've always thought Raymond's a good fighter. I like, guys, when I watch a fight in real time, and I gotta tell you guys what I think about it, I just tell you what I think. So if a guy looked mid and he didn't deliver and do well, I'll tell you that. He says, "Damn big shot." Yeah, no, that again, that's why Top Rank is the best at matchmaking because they put him in with two really good veteran fighters and Ndengeni and Tevin Farmer, and he didn't look great in those fights, but he learned a lot, you know. And I even from my own personal experience, like being around certain fighters, you know, I know a lot of times the fights where fighters don't look good, those are the fights they need the most for the development. Like I'll tell you guys this, like with Angelo, the Aaron Alameda fight was a fight where he didn't look great. You know, he didn't light the world on fire. He won. He did his thing, but it wasn't like to the level that you want from him. But he won, and it was one of his hard. It was one of the toughest fights of his career. But without that fight, I don't think he becomes the fighter he is now, and he's a pretty damn good fighter now. Do you think Jin and Soro will be the next fight? I was talking to him about it tonight, a little bit, Jin, about that fight. He doesn't even know when that fight is yet, but I definitely think it's happening next. I'm praying to God that fight could happen on the undercard of Inoue versus Junto Nakatani. I feel like Jin deserves that stage. He's one of the guys, and I genuinely feel like this about Jin. Like Jin is one of those guys that I don't even care if he got knocked out. Like he's still young. I seen him in the gym the other day. I saw him train the other day. Like he's not as damaged as a lot of you guys would think. Straight up, he's damaged. I mean, like obviously he took some damage against Brian Norman Jr. But like I saw him the other day in the gym and I was like, wow, okay, there's still a lot there. There's still very much a lot there, and it's just about like it's not about like he punches really hard. He's got very heavy hands. He's not scared of nothing. It's just about, and I told him this today, and I've been telling him this. I said, Jin, it's about your smarts. It's about your brain. It's about really just, making these fights a little easier for yourself. I love the guy. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's just about getting the right ideas in place, and I think he'll be all right. What trainers do you think are pure teachers, BT, like current day trainers? That's a great question. Pure teachers. So I'll say John David Jackson is a great teacher. I've been around John David Jackson. I think he does a great job of simplifying things for his fighters, and that's why he's had so much success with Clarissa Shields, and he had success with Kovalev back in the day, and just he's a great trainer. So I'll say him. Manny Robles seems to get a tune out of all his fighters. They do a great job. Right in front of me every single day. Miguel Leo, Angelo's dad, probably one of the smartest people in boxing I've ever met. Sugar Hill Stewart, as far as like power punching technique, like from what I've seen with him in the gym, I think he's really good in that department. What's funny? Because I used to have a bad impression of this guy. Like I used to not think highly of this guy at all until I saw him work in the gym. And I won't get too deep into it because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't really say too much because I'll get my ass sued if somebody sees me talking about it. But Virgil Hunter, Virgil Hunter, I think is actually a good teacher. It's just that with him, it takes a fighter of a certain IQ and skill level to deal with him. If you're not like an A-level fighter already, you're not going to work with Virgil. He's too detail oriented and he gives you a lot of information, right? That's what I learned from watching him work. But he did play a role with Andre Ward. Shout out to TSM Hard. He says, "Is Jin versus Sora the big news you heard about with Jin, BT?" No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. But that's good news. But no, that wasn't the news that I was hearing about. I'll tell you when it happens. If it happens, I'll tell you. But that wasn't it. Yeah, Murataya does have IQ. I'll give him that. He has a lot of IQ. Jin has Willow. I think so. Like I really I believe in Jin. He's still 24 years old. It's just about really getting him to understand that you don't got to be a warrior every fight. You can win fights using your jab, and you can get knockouts. You can set up even better knockouts with a jab. Why is Andy Cruz in an eliminator if he just lost? Oh, that's boxing. I mean, why did Sebastian Pandora get a title shot when he got knocked out cold by Brian Mendoza? I mean, such is life. Bozy Ennis, Breadman, and Robert Garcia are top coaches in my opinion. Bozy and they are. Well, I don't know. I don't want to put nobody down. I don't want to put nobody down. Breadman's a smart guy. Like Breadman knows his boxing. I don't know, man. He was with Julian Williams, did his thing. He's a good boxer, man. I'll leave it at that. Sometimes you know what, Breadman's a very good trainer. Let me correct myself. Sometimes it's not the trainer's fault. Believe it or not, it's not the trainer's fault because you could have your heart in the right place as the coach. You could do all the right things to try to get your fighter ready, but sometimes the fighters are lazy. They don't listen. And sometimes you might just get a fighter that is past it, like Virgil Hunter. Virgil Hunter, a reason why a lot of the guys that aren't on your word lose is because he takes on a lot of guys that were already damaged goods by the time he gets there. Look at like Amir Khan, look at Dominic Brazil, look at a lot of these guys. And then what kind of sucks for Virgil is that quiet as kept, Virgil Hunter was the guy that actually he was Bakram Murtazaliyev's trainer for like I don't know how many fights, but he got Bakram, he trained Bakram and got him to that IBF mandatory position. And then Bakram had visa issues, and then Bakram wound up going another direction. But it's like I would have liked to have seen what Virgil could have did with Bakram, with more time Bakram, and then Barrios. I felt like Barrios' best moments of his career were with Virgil. So. Do you think that he's starting to understand that he can win fights without taking damage? Yes, yeah, because I don't want to say too much, but he's seen some things here in Vegas that have opened his mind up, for sure, and he's gonna see more in the coming days, weeks, and months. So, yeah, now Jin's awesome. By the way, TSM, I know you're a big Jin fan. Did you watch my last post-fight review video after the Vaquero fight? Because if you did, and you watch it all the way to the end, you're gonna find something that you really like. My man says Bozy Ennis guy lost to Abel Ramos. He is an overrated trainer. I'm not gonna lie, Bozy Ennis' fighters are getting exposed. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think Bozy Ennis is an overrated trainer. Trainers just like fighters, but even probably more so than fighters. Trainers go through winning streaks and go to losing streaks. Look at I remember there was one year back in 2020 where the Reynosos couldn't stop winning fights. And then 2021, all their fighters got their ass whooped damn near. So it's in cycles. Stephen Fulton was world champion around this time last year. Boots was still undefeated. They had guys winning. So just because he's had a bad run of form, I'm not gonna put that on Bozy because look, the Fulton fight, you can't even really pin on Bozy Ennis because Stephen Fulton wasn't a professional and spent his whole time eating cheesesteaks and came into the ring as a complete, for lack of a better term, a fat ass. Like he was fat. He was fat. He didn't come to win against Foster. And then Andy Cruz, okay, he lost that fight. But I thought, the fight was close. Could have went either way. I thought Murataya with his pressure, especially getting to Andy early, that was the difference in the fight. But fair play there. And Tamir Small, I mean, he probably shouldn't even have been in this fight, to be honest with you, because I watched one Tamir Small's fight when he fought Brian Mercado, whatever the guy's name was, and all he had was a right hand, and he was kind of like Boots. It felt like I was watching Boots versus Karen. He couldn't cut the ring off. So you can't say he's necessarily overrated if he's produced multiple world champions, because he did it with his son, with Jaron Ennis, as a unified champion. And then Stephen Fulton really mentally has been great since the Inoue loss, and he got into a world title. So my man said, keep it real. Do you think Snack is microdosed steroids? I mean, who is Victor Conti? Whom is Victor Conti, and what was the Balco scandal? That's all I'll say on that. He said, "I did see it. I saw him. I saw him before that. I did see it. I also saw him before that Leo was live on TikTok. Yeah, he was on TikTok. By the way, if you guys don't follow Angelo on TikTok, go over there. Go there and follow him on Angelo X Leo 777. That's 3 sevens. Yeah, I mean, I thought Tamir Smalls was very fortunate to get out of that fight with Vasquez. I didn't like how. I mean, he obviously has some power, but like, I really felt like I was watching the. It was like a reincarnation of Boots versus Karen. He could not cut the ring off. If Jin can't win a title at 47, he should go to 54. I don't think he should stay at. I don't think he should try that. I'll tell you this though. When we was at the damn casino, I told Jin to jab my hand. That boy got some bricks. He really does got some heavy hands. But that's only one part of the equation. You got to have all the other stuff. You got to be a complete fighter. I was telling you, you got to be a complete fighter. You got to know how to box, move, counterpunch, all that stuff, defense. It's all a learning process. Nobody gets this overnight. There's always something to work on with not just boxing, but anything. Even with me here on YouTube, you guys know how harsh and how hypercritical I am on myself to get better at YouTube and covering this boxing and covering more fighters and more fights. And I'm very demanding of myself. So there's always room for improvement. Ordinary Pete, what's good, champ? I see you in the chat. He should either fight with either Rolly or the winner of Paro Crocker. I would love to see him fight Lewis Crocker, and like I said, I got an interview coming out with him. Hopefully, I can get it done and have it out sometime this week because it's a long interview, and I got to do a lot of editing because we did a whole interview, guys, using Google Translate. It was crazy, it was a different experience, but he had a lot to say about those particular fights, like with Crocker and things like that. Lalo says, Conti also admitted that he knew how to manipulate the drug test, so it makes you question Snack. I mean, yeah, man, I said what I said. I don't need to say no more because I never know who's watching. Andy Cruz is entitled like Ryan. He is expected to win. The ornament of the title is supposed to happen I mean, you could say that because he was a gold medalist. They fast tracked him. I mean, that's why he's getting a title shot coming off of a loss, or not a title shot, but a title eliminator fight, or where he's gonna get a chance to be in position to maybe rematch Murataya because Andy Cruz will be fighting Albert Bell. My man says Jin would be a fun champion to tune. He would. It'd be amazing for boxing if it could happen. But like I said, like being a world champion is so hard, guys. I wish people knew how hard it was. Like you guys think you know, but a lot of people don't. It's hard. It's hard. Damn, when is Rolly fighting again in 2 months? It will be a year since his last one. I don't know. He's been on the whole tour, kind of like celebrating the fact that Ryan Garcia didn't call him out. So he's saying that Ryan Garcia is ducking him. Which, you know what? I'm not even gonna push back on that because I was there at the T-Mobile Arena and Ryan called out everybody but Rolly. And really, if you lose to a guy, that should be one of the first things on your agenda. Is to try to get that to avenge that loss. That's what true champions do. But shout out to everybody here, man. Let me see what time it's 12. It's 4 in the morning on the East Coast. It's 1 in the morning here in Vegas. Look, we got what an hour and 38 minutes. Fuck it, I'm going the full 2 hours, guys. Y'all got me for 22 minutes, and when this thing hits 2, that's it. Because I'm an honest man. I always come here and I always say 2 hours. So if I say 2 hours, it's 2. I'll give you guys the full 2 hours. But Jin wouldn't beat any one of the champions either because Rolly's going to vacate. Paro is going to beat Crocker, and Haney will beat Garcia. Paro is going to beat Crocker. Paro is too small for welterweight. Paro can get a belt. He might get a belt at welterweight. He's a guy I think Jin could beat. That's a guy I think Jin could beat for a title. is Liam Parle. Believe it or not. Parle can box, and so there's things that Jin would have to do, but I think he could beat Parle for sure. Paul is not punching like that, and he's crafty. He can box, so he might outpoint Jin. He might do what he did to Matias, but Jin ain't quite as flat-footed as Matias. He's a lot more athletic. He throws more punches. Just gotta get some things in order. Is Rolly got it by PBC? Perhaps he should have taken the Devin bag. Yes, he is. But who do you we don't even know that the Devin bag was offered to him. So, whew, shout out to everyone here, man. We got. I can't believe I got 34 people here rock with me. It's like 4 in the morning on the East Coast. How's everybody on the East Coast feeling? If you're in the East Coast, let me know in the chat. If you're on the West Coast, let me know in the chat. If you're not from America, let me know in the chat. Let me know where you're from. Richard McFly says, salute BT, you be grinding. You got to, man. Like, look, I made a conscious choice when I was at a very young age. So we're talking about, I was 18. I was 18 years old when I started covering the NBA. I did that for 2 years till I was 20. When I was 20, I started covering boxing, and I really loved it. And boxing really became something very meaningful to me the more I covered it and things like that, and going to the gym and things like that. This life chose me, so and it gave me life. So I owe a lot to the fight game, and that's what we're here for to do. Is grind. Have you seen that Gary Jonas interview? He mentioned Leo, but he made some excuses that alluded to purse demands. I heard he did an interview. I haven't had a chance to watch it. As far as purse demands are concerned, I mean, look, man, I'm not gonna get into numbers because that's not my place. But like, I know Angelo ain't looking for no king's ransom. Like, just be fair, be fair. That's all. But I mean, everything is about purse demands. Like whenever you get a promoter, whether it be Gary or Bob Arum or anybody else like that, who doesn't want to invest in their fighter the way they're supposed to, then everything is about purse demands. Everything sounds demanding. Straight up, everything will sound demanding. You could ask for $2 and it's demanding. That's just how I feel about it. Off topic, but did you see that Zuffa signed Daniel Yulushinov? Zuffa is going to put Central Asia on the map, just like UFC. Remember this. I did see that, and I'm very happy for Daniel Yulushinov. He is a friend of the program, and we do talk. Every like 6 months. We follow each other on Instagram, and Daniel is very cool. I like Daniel a lot, and I thought so highly of him, and it sucks that Daniel is probably not going to. Like, he's not anywhere close to his prime anymore, so we probably missed out on the best Daniel Yulushinov, because this is a guy that I really think, he could have been up there with the Crawfords and the Spences and the Boots Ennises and these kind of guys. He had that kind of talent. But I'm hoping and praying that whatever he has left in his boxing career, he could make the best of it and become one of the stars of Zuffa boxing, because he really is an upper echelon top fighter. He says, I've seen Yuga Fujiki a lot. How good is he, BT? He's good. Good counterpuncher. Very, very well-decorated amateur fighter from Japan. A lot of expectations and hopes are being placed on his shoulders as the next great hope for Japanese boxing, because most of the time these Japanese guys, they fighting at like 120, 108, 115, bantamweight, these lower weight classes. He's going to be a guy that campaigns at like 135, 140, 147. So they're hoping that could be a potential legitimate star for them in those weight classes. He's very good. He's for a kid of 19 years of age. He's very good, but he ain't the best Yuga from Japan. That's still Yuga Osaki. But no, he's very good. I don't want to compare him to Yuga Osaki. He's very good for his age, and he's with Ohashi Jim and Inoue and all them. So He'll have a chance to get top sparring. He's going to get all the opportunities to be the best he can be in the pros. So shout out to him. Is Angelo Leo avoiding unification fights? No, it's all the other guys. Angelo is not allowed to avoid unification fights because when you have we'll just talk it real. Like when you have a promoter who's not willing to invest the way he needs to, you got to pretty much fight whatever you get told to fight. Rafael Espinoza, he can go fight Arnold K guy and make good money. Angelo's not in that position, at least not right now. Maybe one day he will be, but he ain't there now. Why can't these featherweights unify? They can, well, because look, man, guys, I get asked this question all the time. It's because it's the people behind them. So if I spell it out for you, I mean, I can spell it out 15 times for you guys, and it's gonna fall on deaf ears. So I'm almost tired of spelling it out because nobody's getting it. Spelled it out so many times. Um, I'm about to head out. I respect the host, brother. Excuse my arguments. I just like picking people's brains and playing devil's advocate. I appreciate the boxing knowledge. I'll be back. No, listen. I love people that disagree with me, and I love people that challenge me because that only makes me better. And sometimes I I learn things, and I'm forced to learn things I wouldn't have learned on my own if I didn't have people challenge me. So it's good. So I appreciate you and everyone else. I'm gonna see. Well, he says I'm gonna see if you're a real one, BT. He says, who do you got out of Ipo versus Inoue? I got Ipo Makanauchi folding Inoue. Inoue ain't for him. Inoue can't beat him. He ain't beating my boy Ipo Makanauchi. Hey, y'all know what's crazy about Ipo Makanauchi from Hajime no Ippo? Do you guys know which fighter looks kind of like him? A little, just a little bit. The guy I keep telling you was gonna beat Inoue anyway. So there you go. Is Elijah Pierce done? Parra as a Parra on 126. Well, Parra is a good fighter. I've been telling you guys about Parra. When he fought Omar Trinidad, he really beat Omar Trinidad, right? And he upset Javion Woodward, who was 13-1, who was a solid prospect. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen Parra fight. I knew he was good, but I didn't think he was gonna bash up Pierce like that. He had me questioning if my stream was lagging, seeing Pierce's head go like this. Is Elijah Pierce done? I don't want to say he's done, but I mean, he's going to now really have his back against the wall and be used as a gatekeeper because he already has a couple losses. He lost this fight to a guy he was supposed to beat. So he's going to get matched up so tough from this point forward. It's part of the game. Are you going to the Inoue Nakatani versus Japan? I'm thinking about it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know yet. I'm waiting for some things. Like I got to figure out when this Rais Salim Angelo fight is. When that date comes out, then I'll know. If it's after, if the date for that fight is after Inoue Nakatani, then I will not be going to Japan. But if it's before, then I will find a way to go to Japan. And it's really that simple. He already lost up there at 130. I think he lost to Sagawa, and I think he might have lost to Abraham Nova. So he's already lost up there. BT, what do you think of Takashi Sendo versus Ricardo Martinez? That's a good one right there. I gotta go Ricardo Martinez because Ricardo Martinez is based off of Ricardo Lopez, and Ricardo Lopez never lost. So I'll go Ricardo Martinez, even though I like Takashi Sendo. By the way, guys, if y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we're talking about these Hajime no Ippo characters, and that's where we're at here on True School Sports. We don't already talked about Vaquero and 130 and the unification fights, and we ranted on Canelo, and we ranted on Espinoza, and it's like we're at that part of the live now where we're talking about anything. So, did I think that Andy Hiroka got robbed against Gary Antarusso? No, I don't. I thought Gary probably won by a round or two, or point or two, only because Andy started off really, really slow, and then he got a point deducted. So he probably won by a point or two, but I mean, Gary got exposed. He said the fight is actually going on right now. Sendo versus Ricardo is going on in the Mango. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Why does 93 Octane says, why does ProBox want to operate on an island? It seems like they exclusively work with PBC former contenders. Is that sustainable? I mean, I don't know. That's a Gary Jonas question. I mean, I'm not in their heads to know everything they're thinking, but I mean, they've done pretty good so far with how they're doing. But I mean, with Zuffa Boxing in the picture now, they got a big bankroll behind them. So I'll tell you right now, Pro Box. I love Pro Box. I was a Pro Box subscriber from day one. Like went to I covered the first ever card, like ever when when they started in 2022. But they got an uphill battle competing with Zuffa Boxing. I'll tell you that. As far as number one with PBC, is it sustainable? Um, I don't I don't know. I don't know. I personally don't think it is, but to each their own. Will Bam fight Tomoya Suboy at 115 pounds? No, he will not. Absolutely not. What are your thoughts on Emiliano Vargas' performance today? I thought I said it earlier. I said, look, Vargas, he did his thing. Like he had some resistance. The guy came to win, but he showed that he has the ability to finish. Good learning fight for him. Will you stay in Japan after the golden era of Japanese boxing? I love Japanese boxing too. Yes, for sure. When this era of Inoue, Kenshiro Taraji, Junto, all that stuff is done, I'll still be here covering Japanese boxing because it's to a stage now, guys, where it's like I got friends in Japan. It's like I consider it like a big piece of me now. Honestly, like it's part of my life now. So, and it's crazy because I never like when I first started covering boxing, I never said, "Hey, I want to cover Japanese boxing." It's just something I fell into, and I really love it and I enjoy it. And it's not just something I like, but it's meaningful work. And I think in life, the best thing that you could have um, is work that's meaningful to you, right? So that's what it's about. Who do I think has a higher ceiling? Oh, Abdullah Mason for sure. I did a live. I did a live like 3 or 4 years ago, and I said that I believe Abdullah Mason will be a champion at 135, 140, 147. And thus far, he got the first one at 35. Um, but yeah, I think he winds up being a welterweight champion at some point in time. Eddie Hearn says Eddie Hearn says he wants Bam to fight Chispa Medina and move back down to 118 pounds. He wants Bam to fight Medina and then move it down to 118. You mean 115? Because Chispa Medina's at Christian Medina's at 118. So you mean 115? So if it's not Japanese boxing, that means you don't know. That's not what I said. I cover man. I cover fighters from Namibia and Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and all these different countries. But see, you got to know the whole story because everyone just thinks like they look at the glasses, they see me like talking proper and stuff, and they think like, oh, well, he's just some like nerdy kid who just liked anime or something like that. And the funny thing is, growing up, I didn't like anime. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z or any of that shit. I literally didn't know who Shinsuke Yamanaka was in 2016. He was the only guy on the Ring Magazine pound for pound list. He was number 8 pound for pound. I didn't know who he was. I started researching who the hell Shinsuke Yamanaka was and learning his career, and I liked how he fought. So then I started watching his fights. Then Inoue came up, so then I started covering Inoue. Then I learned about Kenshiro and Kosai Tanaka, and then so on and so forth. Then I went to Japan, and then you guys know the rest is history. So it's not just like, oh, I just some nerdy kid that likes Japanese boxing. No, it's like this is meaningful work. But that doesn't mean I don't cover the Mexican fighters because I've covered Mexican fighters that aren't even getting that much hype right now. Like I've made videos about Sergio Mendoza Cordova. Do you guys even know who that is? Eric Badillo. These guys at light flyweight who I think are, I think one of those guys is going to be a light flyweight champion. They're both Mexican. Sergio Mendoza Cordova is probably one of my favorite Mexican fighters in boxing. Beast. Why couldn't Inoue knock out Picasso? Um, I don't think that he was trying to do it. I don't think he was trying to knock out Picasso, and Picasso, to his credit, was crafty enough to survive. He said, "What? Everybody loves Dragon Ball Z." I mean, I had Dragon Ball Z Budokai, the original one on PlayStation 2, but I never. I'll be honest, I never really cared for Dragon Ball Z. Like that was like I didn't care about. I like Yu-Gi-Oh. I like Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, yeah, my man said, I like Japanese boxing. I like Central Asian boxing. I feel like they need more experience with different styles, and can't they need to get some American reps, Ukrainians? I agree. That's why everybody comes here to, Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, or as my good buddy Angelo would say, the greatest city in America. The city where you have all the entertainment in the world, and everyone comes here for boxing and for sparring. So if you want to get looks, if you want to spar all different styles, you can go to Top Rank Gym, you can go to Salas Gym, you can go to all the gyms. Yep. Sergio Mendoza Cordova. He's fighting for that WBC. Oh no, the IBF light flyweight title April 11th. Yep. Really excited to see that. I think he's gonna beat the brakes off Simsiri. He should, because Simsiri's a strong fighter, but he's not that skillful. And Cordova is very strong and he's skillful. So I got Cordova. And I think it's funny because like light flyweight has been overrun by a lot of Japanese fighters. But these Mexicans, I think, are about Badillo, between Badillo and Cordova. Light flyweight is going to be damn near half all the way Mexican. My man said Tomoyo Suboi will retire Guevara April 11th. Is that who he's fighting? He's fighting Pedro Guevara. They're going to feed him another older fighter. I like Suboi. Suboi is one of the most skilled fighters. I would say from 122 on down. So from 122 to 105, just the lighter weight categories. I feel like he's one of the most skilled fighters in all of them. He's one of the most skilled fighters in any of the weight classes. He's up there. Um, kind of has a Lomachenko type of background. Aibo world champion, truckload of amateur fights. Um, he's fighting Pedro. That's crazy. He's fighting Pedro Guevara. So and that's gonna be on the Tenshin Nasukawa Gawa Strata undercard, and then that's actually a crazy card I haven't made a video about. Cause you got Kaosuke Takami fighting on Angel Ayala. That's a good fight. It's the losers bracket, the two guys that lost recently. That's a good fight. Okay, see, you put me on. You put me on him. I didn't know he was fighting. I think Cardenas might be the next big thing in boxing at super bantamweight. Possibly. I mean, he needs to get the fights. Hopefully the pro box get him the fights. What do I think will be next for Yabuki? That's a good question because you know Mr. Honda's not going to do business with the Kamitas, so that's tough. What's next for you? I don't know. Right now, I'm like dead asleep. I honestly I don't even know right now. Ask me that on another live, and I'll have a better answer for you, TSM. We got one more minute, guys, and I'm out of here because it's late. It's 1:18 here in Vegas. I'm tired. What weight do you think Nakatani tops out at? I think he's too tall for the division. Probably featherweight or 130 because he's tall, but he lacks physical strength. That's why he had a hard time with Sebastian Hernandez Reyes. He didn't have the physical strength to keep him honest and keep him off of him. So it is what it is. But guys, look. On that note, that is my live. That is all I have to say on this on this particular live. I am very tired. I want to enjoy my Sunday tomorrow of rest before we rev up another week of training here in Camp for Angelo. And yeah, so guys, keep supporting the channel. More great content on the way. I'm behind on some videos, so definitely definitely keep supporting. And yeah, we'll definitely we'll catch up later. We'll catch up later. I'm tired. God bless, guys.